The cold comes softly at first, drifting down from a sky heavy with stars. It slips between the rocks and trees, settling into the valleys and along the wide, open plains. Inside a shallow cave, firelight flickers against stone walls darkened by many seasons of smoke. Shadows move slowly, stretching and shrinking as the flames breathe. The air smells of ash, dry grass, and old earth. Outside, the wind carries distant animal calls, low, patient sounds that rise and fall like the breath of the land itself. Here, time moves differently. There are no hours, only light and dark, warmth and cold, hunger and rest. A small group sits close to the fire, wrapped in thick skins, listening to the crackle of burning wood and bone. Stone tools lie nearby, shaped by careful hands, their edges dulled by use and trusted by habit. The fire is never rushed. It is watched, fed, and respected, for it is the thin line between comfort and the deep winter night. As you listen, imagine yourself here too, safe beside the flames. If this quiet moment feels comforting, you might gently press like on the video, or choose to subscribe, as if adding another piece of wood to the fire so it can keep glowing. And if you wish, you can leave a soft comment, sharing where you are listening from, whether the US, Europe, or somewhere else in the wide world, and what time it is for you now, like distant voices echoing kindly across the dark. Settle in. Let your shoulders loosen. Lower the lights around you. Breathe slowly in and out, as if matching the steady rhythm of the fire. Imagine the stone beneath you, solid and unmoving, the warmth spreading into your hands and feet. You are sheltered here. The cold stays outside and the night feels gentle. The flames flicker lower for a moment, then rise again, and life in this ancient winter continues. Morning begins before the sun appears. The cave is quiet, wrapped in the deep blue of early dawn. A few embers still glow where last night's fire was carefully banked with ash. One figure stirs, moving slowly so as not to wake the others. Hands reach forward, nudging a piece of dry wood closer to the embers. A soft breath, a gentle blow, and the fire answers, glowing brighter, alive once more. Stone scrapes softly against stone as a tool is adjusted, not to cut or hunt, but to tend the fire pit. The floor is smoothed by many winters of use. Ash is pushed aside, making room for warmth to spread. Outside the cave, frost clings to the ground, turning grass stiff and pale. The cold presses in, but it does not cross the line of firelight. The warmth grows slowly, filling the space. Skins are pulled closer around shoulders. The fire is not just heat, it is memory, routine, and reassurance. It dries the damp air, keeps breath steady, and makes the long winter feel survivable. No words are needed. Everyone understands the language of flame and stone. As the sky lightens beyond the cave entrance, the fire settles into a steady burn. The group rests again, listening to the soft crackle, letting the warmth hold them as the day quietly begins. The day moves slowly, marked by the pale light creeping across the cave floor. Outside, winter holds the land in stillness. Inside, hands work with quiet purpose. Flat stones are arranged near the fire, warmed carefully, turned when one side grows hot. These stones will be carried deeper into the cave later, placed near sleeping places where they will release their heat long after the flames dim. Thick animal skins are shaken out and layered with care. Some are old and smooth from years of use, others still rough, carrying the faint scent of the hunt. They are placed atop beds of dry grass and leaves, gathered before the snow came. Each layer matters. Each small choice adds another moment of comfort when night returns. A stone tool taps softly as a loose edge is shaped, not sharp but smooth. It will be used to scrape ice from hides, making them more flexible and warm. The sound is gentle, steady, like a slow heartbeat in the cave. No one rushes. Winter teaches patience. The fire watches over everything, its light dancing across stone walls marked with soot and time. Outside, the wind sighs through bare branches, but inside, warmth gathers and stays. As the light fades and the work ends, bodies settle close again, trusting stone, skin, and fire to hold back the cold. The flames lower slightly, glowing red and calm, and the cave grows quiet once more. Night loosens its grip slowly. The cave breathes in shadows long and soft, as the fire shrinks to a quiet glow. Outside, the world waits beneath a sky dusted with stars. No one moves quickly. There is no need. The cold is strongest before the sun returns, and this is a time for stillness. One by one, figures rise, stretching stiff limbs. Warm stones are drawn closer, tucked beneath skins. Breath hangs faintly in the air, visible for a moment before fading. A hand reaches to the fire, adding a single piece of wood, not to blaze, but to keep life glowing. At the cave's mouth, someone stands and listens. The land speaks in small sounds, the crunch of frost, the distant step of an animal, the whisper of wind across the plain. These sounds are familiar, not frightening. They are reminders that life continues even in the deep of winter. Stone tools are checked, touched, then set aside again. There will be no hunt yet. The sun must rise higher, warming the ground just enough to soften tracks in the soil. Until then, the group waits, sharing heat and silence. As the first faint light colors the horizon, everyone settles back down. The fire hums softly, steady and low, and warmth spreads once more through the cave as rest returns. When the sun finally lifts itself above the distant hills, it does so gently, as if careful not to disturb the quiet. Pale light spills across the land, turning frost into soft silver. Near the cave entrance, the ground begins to loosen, just enough to hold the memory of passing feet. A small group steps outside, wrapped tightly in skins. Their movements are slow and measured. Each foot presses into the cold earth, leaving clear shapes behind, evidence of life moving through winter. One person kneels, brushing fingers over older tracks left during the night. Hooves, small, calm, not far. Stone points are checked again, hafted securely to wooden shafts. They are tools shaped over many nights by firelight, tested by seasons of use. There is no urgency, only readiness. The hunt begins with patience, not pursuit. Cold air fills lungs, sharp and clean. Breath moves in steady rhythm. The group walks, then stops, then walks again, listening more than looking. Snow crunches softly underfoot, a sound carried gently by the still air. After a while they turn back. There is time yet. Nothing is forced. Inside the cave, the fire waits, faithful and warm. As they return, the tracks behind them begin to fade as frost melts into earth. The group settles once more beside the flames, hands warming, bodies resting, letting the land decide the pace of the day. Back inside the cave, the fire becomes the center again, not large, not fierce, just steady. Someone sits close, feeding it small pieces of wood gathered long before winter deepened. Each piece is chosen carefully. Too much, and the cave fills with smoke. Too little, and the cold creeps back in. Ash is shifted with a flat stone, revealing glowing coals beneath. Warmth rises gently, spreading along the cave floor. The stones, set aside earlier, are turned once more, their surfaces darkening, storing heat deep inside. Later they will be moved closer to where everyone sleeps, silent helpers through the long night. Nearby, bone and stone tools are cleaned. A scraper moves slowly along a hide, loosening stiff fibers softened by warmth. The sound is soft, rhythmic, almost soothing. This work does not tire the mind, it calms it. Hands know what to do, guided by memory passed down through many winters. Outside, clouds drift across the pale sky. The day remains cold, but the cave feels safe, held together by small, repeated acts. Fire tended, stones warmed, skins prepared. Each task adds another layer of comfort against the season. As the fire settles into an even glow, movements slow. The cave grows quiet again, filled with warmth and the soft promise of rest. Later in the day, when the sun hangs low and weak above the horizon, a quiet decision is made. A short walk across the plain will help keep bodies warm and senses awake. Skins are pulled tight. Stone tools are carried more from habit than need. The fire is left glowing, watched by those who remain behind. The land stretches wide and open, muted in color. Pale grass bends beneath a thin crust of frost. Each step is careful, slow, pressing warmth into the ground and drawing it back again. The rhythm of walking settles the breath. Inhale, exhale, foot down, lift. Nothing is hurried. The wind moves across the plain in long, gentle waves. It brushes faces, cool but not cruel. In the distance, a line of trees stands dark and still, their branches bare and patient. The group pauses now and then, scanning the ground, not searching for anything in particular, just staying connected to the land. After a time, they turn back. The cave entrance appears as a darker shape in the stone, familiar and welcoming. Smoke drifts upward in a thin line, a quiet signal of warmth waiting inside. As they return, muscles loosen, breath slows, and the fire's glow wraps around them once more. The world outside fades and rest settles gently into the cave. As afternoon drifts toward evening, the light outside grows softer, tinted with pale gold and grey. Inside the cave, warmed stones are gathered again. Each one is lifted carefully, wrapped in thick hides to protect hands. They are placed along the edges of sleeping spaces, tucked beneath layers of skin and dry grass. These stones carry the memory of the fire. Even when flames fade, their warmth will remain, spreading slowly through the night. This knowledge is old and trusted. Fire and stone work together, one bright and living, the other quiet and patient. A few embers are pulled aside, saved beneath ash for later. The fire is shaped for night, lower, calmer, steady enough to glow without burning too fast. Smoke rises lazily, finding its way out through cracks in the stone above. Bodies settle closer together. The cave feels smaller now, but safer. Outside, the wind grows stronger, whistling across the plain and through the trees. Inside, the stones radiate gentle heat, and the air remains still. As shadows stretch long across the cave walls, eyes grow heavy. The fire hums softly, the stones breathe warmth, and the day slowly releases its hold, allowing rest to arrive. Darkness arrives without sound, folding itself over the land. The cave becomes a pocket of warmth and light in a vast, quiet world. Flames move slowly now, casting soft shapes along the stone walls, shapes that shift and fade like memories. From outside come the distant voices of the night. A low call drifts across the plain. Somewhere far off, another answers. These sounds are known and expected, part of the rhythm of winter. No one reacts with fear. The fire is strong. The cave is solid. Breathing deepens as bodies sink into layers of skin and grass. Warm stones press gently against feet and backs, releasing their stored heat. Hands rest on stone tools placed nearby, not in readiness, but in comfort. Familiar weight, familiar shape. A child stirs, adjusting closer to the fire. An older figure adds a single piece of wood, watching it catch slowly before settling back. The flames respond with a soft crackle, then return to calm. The night continues its quiet watch. Inside the cave, warmth holds steady. Eyes close, muscles loosen, the firelight dims just enough, and sleep drifts in like a gentle tide. The cave is wrapped in near darkness now, lit only by the soft red glow of embers. Shadows barely move. The world feels smaller, reduced to breath, warmth, and the steady presence of stone. Each breath rises and falls slowly. Inhale, carrying the scent of ash and dry hide. Exhale, releasing it back into the still air. The sound is gentle, shared, a quiet rhythm that binds everyone together. No one dreams loudly. Sleep comes softly here, shaped by long nights and familiar routines. Outside, frost thickens on the ground. The cold presses against the cave walls, but it cannot pass through stone and fire. Warm stones continue to give off heat, a patient exchange between earth and body. A log shifts in the fire, sending a brief spark upward. It fades before touching the ceiling, leaving the cave unchanged. Everything remains calm, safe, held. Time stretches unmeasured. There is no hurry for morning. Winter nights are long, and rest is precious. As embers slowly dim, breathing deepens further, and the cave settles into complete, peaceful stillness. Before light returns to the world, the cave begins to stir. Not with movement, but with awareness. The embers still glow faintly, a soft red eye watching the darkness. Warmth lingers in the stones, gentle and reassuring. A hand reaches out, brushing ash aside. A single coal is uncovered, alive and waiting. Dry grass is placed nearby, then a thin stick. With patience and care, breath is offered. The fire wakes slowly, stretching into a small flame that grows brighter with each quiet moment. Outside, the sky shifts from black to deep blue. Cold air presses in briefly as someone steps near the entrance, then retreats again. The warmth inside feels stronger by contrast, more precious. The first light reveals faces relaxed from sleep. Skins are adjusted. Stones are moved closer to hands and feet. The fire steadies itself, returning to its familiar, calming rhythm. Another winter day begins, not with urgency, but with trust in routine. Fire, stone, and shelter remain. As the cave fills with soft morning light, everyone rests a little longer, letting warmth and quiet guide them gently awake. Morning light filters into the cave, pale and cool. The fire has grown strong enough to warm the space without demanding attention. Near its edge, a small portion of dried meat is taken from a hide bundle. It is dark, hardened by smoke and time, preserved carefully for winter days like this. Stone tools are used gently, slicing thin strips. The sound is soft, controlled. These pieces are placed on a flat, warmed stone near the fire, not to cook fully, but to soften. Fat releases a faint scent, rich and comforting. It mixes with the familiar smell of ash and stone. Hands move slowly, no one eats quickly. Each piece is shared, passed around with quiet understanding. Warmth from the fire and stones makes the meal feel fuller than it is. Hunger eases, replaced by steady energy. Outside, sunlight touches the frozen ground, loosening it just enough for the day's movements. Inside, bodies sit close, absorbing heat and nourishment together. There is no need to speak. The rhythm of chewing and breathing is enough. When the food is finished, tools are wiped clean and set aside. The fire continues its low, steady burn as everyone settles back, calm and ready for the slow passage of the day. As the day settles into its quiet middle, attention turns to stone. Near the fire, a smooth rock is placed on the ground, becoming a resting surface. Another stone, harder and heavier, is lifted and tested in the hand. This work requires calm, not strength. A careful strike sends a small flake free. It falls with a soft click, catching firelight as it lands. Each movement is slow and deliberate. The goal is not speed, but balance, edges shaped just enough to be useful, never wasted. Firelight reveals every detail. Tiny sparks in the stone, the curve of a forming edge, the steady hands guiding it all. The sound of tapping stone becomes rhythmic, almost like a quiet song meant only for the cave. Others watch, learning simply by being present. Knowledge passes this way, without words, shaped by patience and time. Outside, the wind moves across the plain, but inside, the cave remains still. When the tool is finished, it is turned in the light, inspected, then set aside near the fire. The warmth holds it, just as it holds everyone else. Movements slow again, and the cave returns to rest. Later, when the light begins to soften again, a small group prepares for a careful walk toward the river. Skins are adjusted, stone tools carried lightly. The fire is left in the care of those staying behind, its glow steady and reliable. The path to the river is familiar, worn smooth by many seasons of footsteps. Snow thins here, revealing dark soil beneath. Each step presses gently into the ground, leaving marks that will fade by morning. The river moves slowly, its surface broken by thin sheets of ice that drift and touch, then separate again. The sound is quiet and soothing. Water is gathered carefully, dipped from open patches where the current keeps it flowing. Hands numb slightly from the cold, then warm again as skins are pulled close. No one lingers long. The river is respected, not challenged. With full containers, the group turns back, following their own fading tracks. As the cave comes back into view, Smoke rises softly into the pale sky. Warmth waits inside. The return feels easy, familiar. Soon the fire's glow wraps around them once more, and the quiet of the river drifts away with the cold air. The water is set aside and attention returns to the fire. Damp skins are spread near, but never too close, to the warmth. They are turned slowly, watched carefully. Too much heat would stiffen them. Too little would leave the cold trapped inside. This balance is learned over many winters. Hands smooth the hides, pressing out moisture. The firelight reveals subtle patterns in the fur, marks of past seasons and long use. The scent of drying skin mingles with smoke, a familiar smell that means comfort and protection against the cold. A warm stone is rolled beneath one hide, lifting it just enough for air to move. Steam rises faintly, then disappears. The work is unhurried, almost meditative. Outside, clouds drift across the sky, dimming the light. Inside, the cave remains softly lit and calm. When the skins are ready, they are folded and placed near sleeping spaces ready for night. The fire settles again, glowing evenly. Bodies relax, reassured by preparation done well. As evening approaches, the cave grows quieter. The warmth holds steady, the day loosens its grip, and rest gently returns beside the low, breathing fire. By late afternoon, the sky outside begins to change. Clouds thicken, moving slowly from the far hills, softening the light even more. The air feels heavier, though still calm. Inside the cave, this shift is noticed, not with worry, but with awareness. Someone steps to the entrance, looking out quietly. Snow may come later, or maybe just wind. Either way, the cave is ready, the fire is strong. Stones are warmed again and set aside. Skins are shaken out, then layered carefully where everyone will rest. A few more pieces of wood are brought closer, stacked neatly. Each piece carries the promise of warmth through another long night. Nothing is done quickly. Preparation itself brings comfort. As the first faint flakes drift down outside, the group moves fully back inside. The cave grows cozier, wrapped in firelight and stone. The sound of wind begins to rise, but it is distant, softened by thick walls. As evening deepens, the fire crackles gently, steady and bright. Outside, the plain fades from view. Inside, warmth gathers and holds, ready for the night ahead. Snow falls quietly now, brushing the land in soft layers. It gathers on the plain, on branches, on the rocks above the cave. The sound is barely there, a gentle hush that settles over everything. Inside, the cave feels even warmer by contrast. The fire's glow reflects softly off stone walls, deepening their color. Someone listens for a moment, then smiles faintly, reassured by the silence. Snow means stillness. Stillness means rest. A warm stone is moved closer to bare feet. Skins are pulled higher around shoulders. The fire is fed once more, not to flare, but to glow steady through the night. Smoke drifts upward and disappears into the dark. Outside, the cold builds layer by layer. Inside, heat is shared, moving slowly from flame to stone to skin. No words are needed. The rhythm of winter is understood. As the snow continues to fall, the fire settles lower. Bodies relax into their places. The cave becomes a quiet shelter against the storm, and sleep arrives gently, carried on the soft breath of falling snow. The night stretches wide and unbroken, wrapped in snow and silence. Inside the cave, time moves slowly, marked only by the soft shift of embers and the steady rise and fall of breathing. The fire is small now, a circle of glowing red light. Stones around it continue to release warmth, patient and dependable. Skins form a barrier against the cold, layered thick and worn smooth by many seasons of use. Occasionally, someone stirs, adjusting a hide, moving closer to the warmth. A hand reaches out, feeling the heat of a stone, then rests again. Outside, the wind passes over the cave without entering, its voice softened by snow. Dreams come quietly, shaped by familiar sounds and steady warmth. There is no fear here. The fire watches through the dark, holding back the cold and the night. As hours pass unnoticed, embers fade slightly, then brighten again as a log settles. The cave remains calm, wrapped in warmth and stone, as the long winter night continues its gentle watch. When morning finally arrives, it does so softly. Light filters into the cave, pale and reflected, bouncing off the fresh snow outside. The air inside feels warmer than it did the night before, held by stone and embers that never fully cooled. Someone rises and moves to the fire pit. Ash is brushed aside, revealing glowing coals still alive beneath. With careful breath and a few dry twigs, the fire awakens again, stretching into flame. Outside, the world has changed. Snow smooths the plain, covering old tracks and softening sharp edges. Trees stand quiet, their branches heavy and still. The cold is present, but gentler now, cushioned by white. Water is warmed near the fire, and hands are held close to the flames. Bodies wake slowly, stretching, feeling the comfort of surviving another winter night. As the cave fills with light and warmth, calm settles in. The storm has passed, the fire burns steady once more, and the day begins, quiet and unhurried, beneath the fresh snow. The group moves slowly to the cave's mouth, pausing at the edge where warmth meets cold. Fresh snow lies smooth and bright, untouched, holding the quiet of the morning. Someone kneels, brushing the surface gently with bare fingers, feeling how the cold has settled overnight. Tracks will return soon. Snow remembers everything for a little while. A single step outside presses a clear shape into the white, deep, and defined. The ground beneath is soft, listening. Eyes follow the open space beyond the cave, noticing small changes, the way the snow dips near the trees, the way the wind has brushed one side of the plain more than the other. There is no hunt planned yet. This is a time to observe, to learn what the night has written across the land. The cold air fills lungs crisp and clean, then releases slowly with each breath. After a few moments, everyone steps back inside. The fire welcomes them with steady heat. Snowlight fades behind stone walls and the cave returns to its warm, dim calm. Bodies settle again, carrying the quiet of the morning inward as the fire hums softly nearby. The middle of the day passes gently. Inside the cave, the fire burns low and even, enough to keep the chill away without filling the space with smoke. Warm stones are moved from place to place, shared between hands, pressed near tired muscles. No one feels the need to speak. Silence here is not empty. It is full of small sounds, the crackle of embers, the soft shift of skins, the quiet breath of those resting. Outside, snow reflects light into the cave, brightening it without heat. Someone feeds the fire a thin stick. It catches slowly, glows, then settles into the bed of coals. The action is simple, familiar, and calming. Another person smooths the snow from a skin left near the entrance, careful not to let cold settle in. Time stretches comfortably. Hunger is distant. The body feels held by warmth and routine. Winter no longer feels heavy, just present. As the day drifts on, movements slow further. The fire continues its gentle rhythm, and the cave remains a place of steady comfort, where silence wraps around everyone like another layer of skin. As the light outside begins to soften again, attention turns once more to the wood stacked along the cave wall. Each piece is dry, gathered before the snow came, and placed where it would stay, protected. Wood is precious in winter. It is never wasted. A hand lifts one branch, feeling its weight, listening to the sound it makes when tapped against stone. Satisfied, it is broken carefully into smaller pieces. The sound is dull and gentle, absorbed by the cave. Only a few pieces are added to the fire. The flames respond quietly, growing just enough to warm the air. Smoke curls upward and disappears into the dark cracks above. The fire is shaped, guided, never allowed to rush. Outside, shadows stretch across the snow. Inside, warmth deepens. The cave feels sealed against the cold, a small world made of stone, fire, and shared care. As evening settles in, everyone draws closer together. The fire's glow steadies and the cave fills with calm, preparing once more for the long night ahead. The day slowly releases its hold. Outside, the sky fades from pale grey to deep blue, then darker still. Snow reflects the last light before surrendering to night. Inside the cave, the fire becomes the main source of color and motion. Shadows lengthen across the walls, moving gently with each flicker of flame. Someone adjusts a pile of skins, spreading them evenly, making sure no cold gaps remain. Another places a warmed stone near the edge of the sleeping space, where it will give off heat for hours. The fire crackles softly, steady and calm. A faint pop echoes as a piece of wood settles into place. The sound feels comforting, familiar, like a quiet heartbeat in the cave. Breathing slows, muscles loosen. The day's small efforts fade into memory. Outside, the wind whispers across the snow, but inside, warmth holds firm. As darkness deepens, eyes grow heavy. The fire dims slightly, glowing red and gold. The cave becomes a peaceful shelter once more, ready to carry everyone gently into rest. Bodies settle into their places, finding familiar shapes in stone and skin. The ground beneath is firm but trusted, softened by layers gathered and arranged with care. Warm stones press gently against backs and feet, releasing their last stored heat. The fire has been shaped for sleep, low, steady, safe. Flames move lazily, no longer reaching high, just enough to keep the cold away. Embers glow like quiet stars scattered across the hearth. A soft sigh passes through the group as one person stretches and relaxes. Another pulls a hide closer, tucking it beneath a shoulder. Small movements, barely noticed, bring comfort. Outside, the world rests beneath snow and darkness. Inside, the cave feels full of calm. The sound of breathing blends together, slow and even. Nothing needs to be done. Everything is already in place. As the fire settles into a deep red glow, eyes close one by one. Warmth lingers, steady and reassuring, and sleep arrives quietly, wrapping the cave in stillness. The night deepens again, long and unbroken. The cave is lit only by embers now glowing softly beneath a thin layer of ash. Their warmth spreads slowly, patient and dependable. Breathing fills the space in gentle waves. Inhale, exhale. The rhythm is shared, comforting. No one moves much. Sleep is deep and easy, shaped by the quiet and the steady presence of fire. Outside, snow settles further, adding another layer of silence to the land. The cold presses in, but it cannot pass through stone and warmth. The cave remains its own small world, protected and calm. A log shifts slightly, sending a brief flicker of light across the wall. It fades almost at once, returning the cave to near darkness. Nothing changes. Everything remains as it should. Time drifts by unnoticed. Embers dim slowly, then hold, and the cave rests peacefully through the heart of the winter night. Before dawn returns, awareness stirs again, not fully awake, not fully asleep. The cave holds its warmth, even as the embers glow faintly. A hand reaches out instinctively, feeling for heat, reassurance. Someone rises quietly, careful not to disturb the others. Ash is brushed aside, revealing a living coal. A breath is offered, slow and patient. A small flame answers, stretching gently into the darkness. Outside, the sky begins its slow change. The cold feels sharp but distant. Inside, the fire grows just enough to bring comfort back to waiting bodies. Skins are adjusted, stones are moved closer. The cave begins to breathe with the coming day. No one rushes to stand. Winter mornings are earned slowly. As the fire steadies and light creeps closer, everyone rests a moment longer, wrapped in warmth and stone, letting the day arrive when it is ready. Morning slips back into the world quietly, as it always does in winter. Pale light reflects off the snow outside and drifts into the cave, touching stone walls and resting gently on sleeping forms. The fire responds to the new day with a low, steady glow, awake but calm. One by one, eyes open. Not fully, just enough to sense warmth and safety. The air feels still and protected. Cold remains outside, held back by stone and careful firekeeping. A small stretch here, a slow breath there. Bodies remember the rhythm of another day beginning. Someone adds a thin stick to the fire, listening as it catches and settles. The sound is soft, familiar, comforting. Warm stones are passed from place to place, easing stiffness from the night. Skins are loosened slightly as the cave fills with gentle light. There is no plan yet, no need for one. The day will unfold at its own pace. As the fire steadies and the morning fully arrives, everyone rests a moment longer, letting warmth and quiet carry them forward into the day. As the morning grows a little brighter, movement becomes more purposeful, though still slow. Winter does not allow much gathering, but small tasks remain. A few items will be collected near the cave, dried twigs sheltered beneath stone, bits of bark useful for fire starting, frozen plants that still hold nourishment. Skins are pulled tight again. Stone tools are selected carefully, light enough to carry without effort. The fire is left glowing, strong, and watched by those staying behind. Outside, the snow crunches softly underfoot. Each step is deliberate, testing the ground. Breath clouds briefly in the cold air before fading away. The land feels quiet, open, waiting. The gathering is brief, a handful of twigs, a strip of bark peeled gently from a fallen branch. Nothing is taken that will not be needed. Winter teaches restraint. Soon the cave appears again, dark and familiar against the white. Warmth flows outward as the entrance is reached. Inside, the fire greets them softly, and the cold is left behind once more. The gathered twigs and bark are set beside the hearth, sorted by size and dryness. Each piece has its place. The fire is fed slowly, as it has been all winter, with patience and respect. A thin strip of bark catches first, curling and darkening before settling into flame. Twigs follow, adding just enough strength to the fire without letting it grow wild. Smoke rises gently, never thick, guided by practiced hands. The warmth deepens, spreading evenly through the cave. Stones near the fire absorb the heat, darkening as they do. The balance is perfect, enough to warm, never enough to waste. Nearby, someone rests, watching the flames with half-closed eyes. The fire's movement is hypnotic, slow and reassuring. Outside, the snow reflects light back into the cave, brightening it without sound. As the fire settles into its steady rhythm, bodies relax again. The cave feels held, safe, and ready for another quiet stretch of the day. The day pauses in a gentle stillness. Nothing presses forward. The cave holds its warmth, and the fire breathes slowly, as if resting between thoughts. Outside, the snow remains untouched, bright and quiet, keeping the world calm. Someone sits near the entrance, not watching for danger, but simply feeling the air. The cold brushes the face lightly, then retreats. Inside, warmth answers immediately, steady and familiar. The contrast feels soothing. Stone tools lie nearby, unmoving. There will be time for them later or another day. For now, hands rest, muscles soften, breath finds an easy rhythm again. Inhale, exhale. The sound blends with the fire's low crackle. A warmed stone is shifted closer to a shoulder. A skin is pulled higher. Small comforts, repeated endlessly through winter, continue their quiet work. As the fire settles into glowing calm and the day drifts on without urgency, the cave fills with deep ease. The world waits patiently, and rest settles gently back into the body. Slowly, almost without notice, the light outside begins to soften once more. The bright white of snow turns pale blue, then grey. Shadows stretch across the plain, long and quiet, as the sun lowers behind distant hills. Inside the cave, the change is felt as a gentle dimming. The fire becomes more present again, its glow warming the stone walls and filling the space with calm color. Someone adds a small piece of wood, listening as it settles into the embers with a soft sound. Skins are adjusted, drawn closer around shoulders and legs. A warmed stone is placed near resting feet. These movements are familiar, repeated so often they feel almost automatic, guided by memory and instinct. Outside, the air grows colder. Inside, warmth deepens. The cave feels smaller now, but safer, wrapped in firelight and stone. Breathing slows. Bodies ease back into rest. As evening quietly takes its place, the fire glows steady and low, and the cave settles once more into a peaceful, unhurried calm. Night returns the way it always does, without warning, without sound. Darkness gathers beyond the cave, settling into the snow and trees, softening every edge. Inside, the fire shapes the night, giving it warmth and gentle movement. Flames sway lazily, painting slow patterns on the stone walls. The air feels calm and still. Someone stirs the embers just enough to keep them alive, then rests again. The fire responds with a quiet glow, steady and reassuring. Skins are layered carefully. Each one holds warmth, memory, and protection. Warm stones are tucked into familiar places, pressed close where the cold likes to linger. The cave becomes a cocoon, sealed against the winter outside. Breathing deepens as bodies settle. The long day fades from thought. Outside, the wind moves softly across the snow, its voice distant and harmless. Inside, the fire remains. As embers dim and the glow softens, the cave grows quieter still. Sleep drifts closer, slow and gentle, settling over the warmth and stone like falling ash. The fire keeps its silent vigil through the night. It no longer crackles much, only a soft whisper now and then as embers shift and settle. The glow is low and deep, like a heart beating slowly in the dark. Bodies lie close together, wrapped in layers of skin and warmth. The stones placed earlier continue to give back what they borrowed from the flames, releasing heat little by little. Feet stay warm, backs stay comforted. The cold remains outside, patient but distant. A gentle sound moves through the cave, the shared rhythm of breathing. It rises and falls, steady and calm, blending with the faint hiss of cooling ash. No one dreams loudly. Sleep here is deep, shaped by routine and safety. Outside, the stars wheel silently above the snow-covered land. Inside, time feels suspended. Nothing needs attention. Everything is already enough. As the fire's glow softens further and the cave sinks into deeper stillness, rest settles completely, smooth and unbroken, carrying everyone gently through the heart of the night. Deep in the night, before the world begins to turn toward morning, the cold reaches its quiet peak. Outside the cave, frost tightens its grip on stone and snow. The land holds its breath beneath the stars. Inside, the cave remains calm. The fire has thinned to a low bed of embers, glowing softly beneath ash. Their warmth is gentle but steady, carried outward by the stones placed with care earlier in the evening. Heat moves slowly, like a memory passing from one thing to another. Someone stirs without waking, shifting closer to the center of warmth. A hide is pulled higher. A foot finds a warm stone and rests there, stilling again. Breathing remains slow and even, the sound barely more than a whisper. The cave walls hold the night at bay. Stone does not rush. Stone remembers heat. It gives it back patiently, hour by hour, as it has done for countless winters before. As the coldest moment passes unnoticed, embers continue their quiet glow. The cave stays warm enough. Sleep remains deep and untroubled, and the night begins, slowly, to loosen its hold. Somewhere beyond the cave walls, the world begins its gentle turn toward morning. It is not yet visible, not yet felt as warmth, but the darkness shifts slightly, as if easing its weight. Inside, The fire rests low and calm. Embers glow like small red stones, steady and alive. The warmed rocks placed along the sleeping places still offer their quiet heat, faint but comforting. Stone and fire continue their patient work together. Breath moves softly through the cave. Inhale, exhale. Each sound blends with the stillness. No one wakes fully. Bodies remain heavy with rest, trusting the shelter to hold them. A tiny flake of ash drifts upward, then settles again. The cave does not change much. It does not need to. Winter nights pass slowly, and survival is found in this sameness, in routines that never rush. As the darkness thins just enough to promise dawn, warmth lingers. Sleep stays close. The cave remains wrapped in stone, fire, and quiet endurance. A faint glow appears beyond the cave entrance, barely more than a suggestion. Snow outside catches it first, reflecting pale light inward. The cave brightens softly, edges of stone becoming visible once more. Inside, embers respond as if aware of the coming day, glowing a little brighter as ash shifts. Someone wakes enough to notice the change, lifting their head slightly before settling back again. There is no need to rise yet. The air feels different now, still cold but lighter. Night loosens its hold, and the quiet feels expectant rather than heavy. Warm stones continue to press gently against skin, holding on to the last of their heat. Breathing deepens, stretches, then slows again. The body remembers warmth, the mind remains calm. Outside, the land waits beneath its blanket of snow. As light continues to grow, the cave rests in this gentle in-between moment, neither fully night nor fully day, wrapped in warmth and patient silence. The light strengthens just enough to soften the shadows along the cave walls. Shapes return slowly, stone ledges, stacked wood, the quiet circle of the hearth. No one rises quickly. Winter mornings are met with patience. A hand reaches out to the embers, feeling their gentle warmth without stirring them yet. Another person shifts, stretching stiff limbs beneath layers of skin. The movement is unhurried, careful not to invite the cold too suddenly. Outside, the snow glows pale and calm. Inside, the air remains still and warm, held by stone and habit. Someone adds a thin twig to the fire. It catches with a faint whisper, then settles, brightening the cave just a little more. Skins are loosened, not removed. Warm stones are passed from one place to another, easing the last traces of night from tired muscles. Breath slows again after the small effort, steady and relaxed. As the fire finds its gentle rhythm and morning fully takes shape, everyone remains resting a while longer, letting warmth and quiet prepare them for the day ahead. Morning is now fully present, though it remains soft and restrained. The sun stays low, its warmth distant, but its light steady. Inside the cave, the fire has returned to a calm, reliable burn, enough to push back the chill without demanding attention. Someone rises and moves slowly, careful with each step on the cold stone floor. Ash is tidied, embers gathered closer together. A flat stone is placed near the fire once more, beginning its quiet work of storing heat for later. These motions are familiar, comforting in their repetition. Skins are folded and set aside, though not far. Winter is never forgotten. Stone tools are touched, checked, then rested again. There is no hurry to leave the cave. The world outside will wait. A deep breath is taken, filling the chest with cool air softened by warmth. It is released slowly. The body feels ready, steady, held by routine and shelter. As the fire settles into its gentle glow and the cave hums with quiet life. Once more, movements slow again, and the moment stretches peacefully, wrapped in stone, warmth, and calm endurance. As the morning eases into the slow middle of the day, attention turns once more to preparing for the night ahead. Even now, while light fills the cave, winter is always remembered. The fire is encouraged gently, fed just enough to warm a new set of stones. One by one, smooth rocks are placed near the flames. They darken as they heat, soaking in warmth patiently. No one rushes this process. Stone needs time. It remembers heat best when it is given slowly. Hands rest while waiting. Fingers trace familiar cracks in the cave wall. Breath moves easily in the warm air. Outside, the snow glints softly, untouched and calm, holding the quiet of the season. When the stones are ready, they are moved carefully aside, wrapped in thick hides. They will wait there until evening, holding their warmth deep inside. This simple act brings reassurance. Night will come, but it will not come unprepared. As the fire settles back into its steady rhythm, bodies relax again. The cave feels balanced, warm enough, quiet enough, safe enough. Time slows, and rest returns gently, like a long, unbroken breath. The light outside begins to lose its edge, softening as clouds drift slowly across the winter sky. Snow no longer sparkles as brightly. It rests, muted and calm, as if settling into itself. Inside the cave, the change is felt as a deepening quiet. The fire continues its steady work, flames low and even. Warmth moves gently through the space, touching stone, skin and breath. Someone sits near the hearth, not tending it, just being near, watching the slow movement of light and shadow. No tasks call for attention now. Everything needed has been prepared. Stones are warm and waiting. Wood is stacked within reach. Skins lie folded and ready. The comfort of being prepared settles into the body like a soft weight. Breathing grows slower again. Muscles relax. The cave feels timeless, separate from the passing hours outside. Snow muffles the world, holding it in silence. As the fire glows quietly and the day eases toward evening, the cave becomes a place of complete stillness. Warmth lingers. Nothing is rushed. Rest settles gently once more, carried on the low, steady breath of the fire. Evening returns for the last time in this long winter cycle. Outside, the sky deepens into dark blue, then black. Stars faint behind drifting cloud. Snow rests quietly on the land, sealing the world in silence. Inside the cave, the fire is shaped with care, just as it has been every night. A few small pieces of wood are added, enough to glow, not blaze. The warmed stones prepared earlier are placed gently around the sleeping space, tucked beneath skins, ready to give back their stored heat through the night. Everyone settles close again. Skins are drawn up. Warmth gathers and stays. The cave feels complete. Stone walls steady, fire calm, breath slow and even. There is nothing left to do. Everything that keeps the cold away is already in place. The firelight flickers softly, then steadies. Shadows grow still. Outside, the winter night continues, but it feels far away now. Inside, warmth and rest remain. As embers glow deep red and the cave sinks into peaceful darkness, sleep arrives slowly and completely, held by fire, stone, and quiet endurance. The fire has grown quiet now, resting in a soft circle of glowing embers. Their light barely moves, just enough to remind the cave that warmth is still there. The stones around you hold the last of the day's heat, releasing it slowly, patiently, the way they always have. Breath moves gently in the dark. Inhale, exhale. Safe, steady, you have traveled far into the ancient past, into long winter nights, into the simple wisdom of fire and stone, into a rhythm shaped by patience and quiet survival. Here, nothing rushed, everything endured. Thank you for sharing this peaceful journey beside the fire, listening as the cold stayed outside and warmth stayed close. If this story brought you comfort, you can gently like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a quiet comment about where you are listening from and what time it is for you now, like distant voices warming the night. For now, there's nothing more to do. Let your body rest. Let your thoughts drift away like sparks fading into the dark. The fire will watch over you. The stone will hold you. Sleep deeply. Sleep safely. Good night beside the dying fire.